Have you ever looked at someone's success and just thought, wow, that happened overnight? Well, what if I told you that the whole idea of overnight success is pretty much a myth? Today, we're going to pull back the curtain and show you the hidden engine behind real achievement. It's a powerful operating system, and it's built on small, consistent habits. Okay, let's get into it.
And this quote from Jim Rohn, man, it just nails it. We're all so busy looking for that one big dramatic moment, that lightning strike, that we completely miss the quiet, amazing transformations happening just beneath the surface. Real success isn't a miracle. It's the slow, steady work you put in day after day, especially when nobody else is even watching.
So, here's the game plan for today. We're going to start by tearing down that myth of overnight success. Then, we'll get into why building systems is way more powerful than just setting goals. After that, we'll dive into the 3 big keys to making it all work: mastering your inner game, winning your outer game, and finally playing the long game.
All right, first up, the myth of success. Let's really dig into what's happening behind the scenes of those so-called overnight breakthroughs.
And that leads us right into this really fundamental shift in thinking, focusing on your systems over your goals. We're going to explore why the process you follow matters so much more than the final destination you're aiming for. Now, this is where it gets really cool. It's this idea of keystone habits, made famous by Charles Duhigg. Think of these as the ultimate cheat code for your personal system. You don't have to try and change your whole life all at once. Instead, you focus on just one key habit, like exercising every day. That one small change can set off a chain reaction, a positive cascade that ripples through everything else, from what you eat to how focused you are at work.
And this, right here, lays out the difference perfectly. Goals have an endpoint. You hit it, and then what's next? Plus, they often rely on things you can't even control. But habits? Habits are a continuous process. They are actions completely within your control. And here's the kicker: their benefits don't just add up, they compound. They multiply, creating this incredible, exponential growth over your lifetime.
So the big question is, how do we actually build this system? Well, it all starts on the inside. It starts with mastering your inner game, with the power of intentional planning.
And to really get this inner game, let's look at some data. The Leadership Circle did this incredible study. They looked at 4,500 leaders, found the absolute top performers, like the top 5 to 7%, and then they literally went through their journals to figure out what makes them tick, what makes them so darn effective.
And the very first habit they found was this thing called purposeful solitude. Now, this isn't just about sitting around and doing nothing. It's about intentionally carving out a window of quiet time away from all the noise to just think. It's where you reflect, you gather your thoughts, and you set your intentions. It's how you start your day on your terms, not someone else's.
So what does that solitude actually look like in practice? Well, this is it. These are the exact questions that these top-tier leaders are asking themselves almost every single morning. And notice, they're not just about to-do lists. They're about impact, about priorities, and, I love this last one, about making sure they themselves aren't the bottleneck holding things up.
Okay, so once you've got that inner clarity locked in, it's time to win the outer game. How do we take all that planning and turn it into real, effective action?
The secret, as habits expert James Clear argues, is that the biggest hurdle is just getting started. It's overcoming that initial inertia. So, the solution? Make your new habits so ridiculously easy that it's actually harder to say no than to just do it. You want to read more? Don't commit to a whole chapter. Just commit to reading 1 page. The goal here isn't to be a hero on day 1, it's just to build a little momentum.
All right, so once you're moving, prioritization becomes everything. This classic story from Stephen Covey is such a powerful way to think about it. Your big rocks, those are your most critical priorities, the things you identified during your purposeful solitude. Everything else is just gravel, sand, and water. The lesson is so simple but so profound. If you don't put those big rocks in the jar first, you'll never ever get them in at all.
And here's another awesome tool from Covey to help us do exactly that. See, most of us live our lives reacting to what's urgent. We're bouncing between quadrant I and 3, crises and interruptions. But the real magic, the strategic high ground, is quadrant 2. This is where you prevent problems, you do deep work, you build systems. The most effective people don't just find time for quadrant 2, they proactively make time for it.
But here's the thing. Constant action, even if it's on all the right things, will lead straight to burnout.
To really succeed over the long haul, you have to play the long game, and that means making time to recharge.
This famous metaphor from Stephen Covey, it just says it all, doesn't it? We get so wrapped up in the sawing, the doing, the producing, the hustling, that we forget to maintain our single most important tool, ourselves. Trying to power through your life with a dull saw isn't a strategy for success, it's a recipe for total exhaustion.
So sharpening the saw is about having a balanced, systematic way to renew yourself across these 4 key dimensions. This isn't a luxury, It's a non-negotiable part of the operating system. It's taking care of your body, your mind, your spirit, and your relationships so you actually have the capacity to show up and perform at your best.
And this is where it all clicks into place. The purposeful solitude, the focus on systems, those tiny actions, the ruthless prioritization, and that consistent renewal. All of these small, smart choices, when you repeat them day in and day out, they don't just add up. They multiply, they compound, they create this upward spiral of growth that from the outside looks like a sudden leap. But you'll know the truth. It was engineered, one habit at a time.
So I'm going to leave you with this really powerful thought from the philosopher William James. He said, "Our habits are constantly, irresistibly pushing us toward our destiny. They're never neutral." So the question we each have to ask ourselves is simple, but it's a big one. Are my daily habits, is my personal operating system, actually taking me where I truly want to go?